Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Welcome to Friday. It's a great day. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've had some requests to talk about what happens or what do I do, what can you do with the direct mail that's returned from the post office to you. Let's start with a little bit of education about stamps. So there's two types of mail basically that the post office delivers for us, letters and postcards. Let's look at postcards for a second. Postcards, if they're less than the 4 1/4 by 6, they qualify for a reduced first class stamp pricing. So anything over 4 1/4 by 6, it'll be the normal first class postage price, but anything smaller than 4 1/4 by 6, that'll be a reduced fee, and that's considerable. So that's why most people send out the small text or the small pictorial postcards. And we send those small ones out first class because the other stamp choice that we would have is a standard stamp. Now, standard stamps typically are less expensive than first class stamp, with the exception of the small postcard. It's actually more expensive than the first class postcard stamp, the small one. So we use, on the small postcard, we use regular first class postage. On large postcards and most all letters, we would use a standard stamp. Now, here's a significant part about the first class and the standard stamp. When you buy first class stamps, you're actually paying a fee in advance to have the post office return that mail back to you if they can't deliver it. It's part of what you're paying for in the stamp. On the standard stamp, you're not paying that fee, and thus that service isn't provided. So if they can't deliver a large postcard that's standard stamped, you won't get that postcard back, which is another reason we like the first class small postcard, because we can get our mail back from them. Now, that was a quick lesson, and it's bigger than that, but that should get you going. What do I do with my mail when I get it back? I hate saying it. I throw it away. I was taught a long time ago that by a seller, by the way, who called me up and asked me, Mike, she said, Mike, will you take me off your list? We're not interested in selling a rental. I did. At the time in my life, my career, I thought I was trying to be pleasant, helpful, all those nice things that we are and we want to grow up to be. And however, a couple months later, I noticed that someone is down there at that house, because I have another house on that same street that I'm rehabbing, that someone started a rehab on it. So I walked down there, and sure enough, she sold her house to another investor. So because I had her phone number, I called her and I said, what happened? And she says, I'm sorry. We just decided to go ahead and sell it after all. And since you had stopped mailing us, someone else did, and we just called them. That cost me $60,000. Taking someone off my mail list cost me $60,000. Should you take them off your mailing list? That's a personal call from your perspective. Now, the U.S. Postal Service has not made it illegal. They haven't created any hoop or anything to jump through or follow, where we have to not mail someone. Now, they do have a do not mail list, and when you have your list run, you can ask your provider to run the list through the do not mail. I'll say, though, that you're liable to lose business if you do that. Now, the consumer can do this, by the way. The consumer could go to the post office and ask the post office to hold all business mail. So don't deliver any of the business mail. And then with that, the post office wouldn't deliver their business mail. Now, they wouldn't get the coupons and the sale items from, some of the large box stores and shopping stores, but they wouldn't get your postcard either if it was a business mail. So, but the consumer can choose to do that. So should you take them off the list if they say that? Again, that's your choice. I can also tell you that I've had conversations with sellers who said, I told you last month to remove me from your list. Yet it was the first month I had mailed to them. So they spoke to somebody else the month before or the last time they spoke to somebody else. And they thought it was me because we investors, we kind of market the same or similar ways. But it wasn't me, it was somebody else. And so I know that's going to happen. I know somebody else is going to continue to market to them. And I just choose to continue. Now, I also like cluster marketing, which cluster marketing is when you mail multiple types of mail pieces. So I mail a small postcard, I mail a yellow letter, a large postcard, a professional letter that's typed, a greeting card, like Mother's Day card kind of thing, and then a zip contract. So I mail those 6 pieces over and over and over again. So it looks as though, or appears as though, 6 different investors are marketing to them, where in fact it's just one. I use 6 different phone numbers also. In a case, however, let's start going, okay, Mike, what do I do with all that mail if I don't want to throw it away? And if you're not doing a lot of mail, then you can't throw it away, because there is gold in this pile of junk mail that's coming back to you. Absolutely. And it's how we find that gold that's important. And I want to go through some quick steps to help you find the gold, find the riches from the return direct mail. So the first thing I want you to do is, on a weekly basis, I want you to take your return mail and I want you to divide it into 3 groups. So here are the groups. You're going to have the little yellow stickers applied to your return mail that'll say bad address, undeliverable address. So take that kind of mail, put them in one pile. Sometimes you're going to either have a sticker that says vacant or abandoned, and sometimes they'll just write on it, they being the postal person who's delivering the mail. So you'll have one of those little stickers that say vacant, or you'll have they'll just scribble on vacant. That goes in a different stack. The third stack is when they've written on it deceased. And so you have these 3 stacks. You have all of your bad addresses, which aren't bad addresses, by the way. It's just the system falling down. You have your vacant pile, and you have your deceased pile. Now, naturally, you're not going to have a whole bunch of people in your deceased pile, and you'll probably have more people in your vacant pile. And then majority are going to be in your bad address pile. You could, if you wanted to, look at all of those addresses on the bad address pile. I wouldn't, because here's what happens. When a list provider or a mail service uses a barcode, and on postcards we use a barcode, we have to run the list through the post office for them to give us the correct address and the updated address. So if the people have moved, they're going to give us the person's new mailing address, and they're going to give us information about is the address that we have the correct one? The spelling, is it correct? And they're going to use some algorithms to determine that. So we're running it through their system. So we can't get a bad address because they're giving it to us. They're meaning the post office. So what I think happens is we just have maybe a postal delivery person who maybe didn't do the job that they should have done, and they just threw it in a bin. And at the end of the day, all that mail that was in a bin just went through the undeliverable address machinery kind of thing and went back to you. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. If you choose to, here's what I would do. I would divide that mail up, and I would run your list at least 2 months in a row. Because most likely the majority of that mail isn't undeliverable. It just didn't get delivered. And by taking that address off your mailing list, then you will be losing opportunity because you're not mailing to a real address because you think it's not a real address, but it really is. So mail to it again next month. If you get the same address coming back to you as a bad address, then you probably have a bad address. And however we got the bad address, we got it. But just understand the post office is giving us the address information. So that's if the second month in a row, if I had that, then I would start doing something with that second month address that was on my first month list as well. So now I have my 3 lists, and let's assume for a second we're going to take all these names off of our mailing list because that's just what you've chosen to do. How do you do that? The easiest way to do that. And I own yellowletters.com. We do a lot of mail. And I have never seen anybody else, any other mail service, do what we do for you. but it's kind of cool. If you look at where the stamp is, and it's not on a fixed stamp, it's indicia. If you look at that says, postage paid, and it'll say first class, or it'll say standard. If you look at it, right under where it says postage paid, first class, there's going to be a series of numbers. The last number is your sort position. So we're telling you in the list of your addresses which line that address is. So if it's 17, you go to your Excel spreadsheet. I would just insert another column, go to my Excel spreadsheet, go to line 17. So I'm not even going to have to look up a name, an address, anything. All I'm looking for is sort position 17, and I'm going to put a 1 in that column that I inserted, and I'm going to do that to the next one and do that to the next one. And then when I'm all done, I'm going to do a data sort for that column that I inserted, and I'm going to extract those addresses. Super simple. Why other people don't do it that way? Don't know. They make guns, little scanning guns that you can buy. They're like $1,300. One company has them for $1,000. I don't know if I'd want to spend $1,000 on a gun when all I have to do is go to sort position, go to my Excel data sheet, insert a column, find that number on my data sheet, because it's easy to look up my numbers. Let's face it, pretty simple. Put a 1 there, do it all, sort it, extract those. Pretty simple process. So you no longer have to look for someone's name. Now, rather than when you hit delete and remove them, hit cut them off of that Excel spreadsheet and put them on another spreadsheet. And so now I have my second spreadsheet. They're no longer on my first spreadsheet because that's the one I'm going to use next month to mail with. But they're on my second one, and this is the spreadsheet that I'm going to use to track down these folks and find them. Now, keep in mind, personally, I would only be searching for the deceased and the vacants. I wouldn't be searching for the bad addresses, but you might. So let's assume you are. First thing I want you to do, this is the very first step I want you to take after you've extracted it and put it on its own Excel spreadsheet. Really simple to do. I want you to get a dedicated phone number for this exercise. Dedicated phone number. So when you find them, or you're calling them and they have your phone number on their cell phone or their home phone and they call you back, they're calling this dedicated abandoned telephone number so you know the reward that you're reaping from doing all this work. Because if you never buy a house but you're doing all this work, we'll need to stop doing all this work because it's not productive. And we won't truly know how productive it is until we can start tracking the phone calls that are coming back to us. So set up a dedicated phone line. On that phone line, I want you to place a voicemail. And let me give you an example of that voicemail. Bear with me.
Thanks for listening. We'll be right back. Are you running out of leads? It's time you tried Yellow Letters at yellowletters.com. Get motivated seller leads through Yellow Letters, postcards, zip letters, typed professional letters, greeting cards, door hangers, and business cards. Yellow Letters is a full-service marketing company created with your success in mind. Get the personal attention you need to get your direct mail campaign started and get in touch at yellowletters.com.
And we are back in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, thank you for calling I Buy Houses. We are not in at the moment to receive your phone call. However, it is extremely important to us. If you received a note in the mail regarding selling your house and you would like to, please leave your name, your cell phone number, the property address you're hoping to sell, and one of us will call you back. Go ahead and leave me your name, your cell phone number, the property address you're hoping to sell, and we'll call you right back. Thank you for calling and have a wonderful day. It's a very simple, easy, right to the punch, no hassle voicemail, tells people what you wanted to do. It's full of embedded commands. It's full of the word sell. Now I know I'm using sell like C-E-L-L, but they're hearing it as in sell their property. So I'm playing with their mind a little bit. Again, real easy, real sweet voicemail. Third thing I want you to do, I want you to set up your caller ID to match that phone number they're calling in from. So here's an example. If you're using a Skype line and it's not the dedicated phone line that you want them to call you to, say it's a voicemail somewhere at Ring Central or whatever, I want you to go to your Skype and I want you to put in your caller ID to the phone number that you want them to think to call back to. So if you don't get them and their cell phone picks your caller ID up, that thing, you know how people call that right back? I want that to be your caller ID. You understand? Great. So we've got the mail sorted. We've got our dedicated phone line. We have our voicemail. We have our caller ID set up. And we have our 3 groups of mail. So let's go to the first group, the deceased. And I like using FastWeb. It's a product by First American Title. It's free. But Fidelity National Title is going to have the same kind of product. Most escrow companies will have a product for you to be able to search the local database or the local owner base of properties in your area. And I like FastWeb. I've used it for years, and it covers about 94% of the country. It doesn't have Kansas, but it has a lot of Texas and most every place else. So just call one of your title companies and you know, ask them if they can get that service to you. It's a free product. So in FastWeb, once I have that account set up, it allows me to search by the owner's last name. This is kind of cool. I could search it by the property address because I know that because I have the postcard. But I want to search it by the last name because I'm killing 2 searches with one search here. I'm looking for the property, but I'm also looking to see if that owner has multiple properties. Because if I couldn't find the owner on this property, maybe I can find him or find her by searching other properties that they own. And when I open up the record for the property that I sent mail to that was returned, in FastWeb, it's going to give me the owner's mailing address, and it's going to give me the physical address. Now, then I could also put in that mailing address and see if I have the same owner of record on that address to see if they just sold, because that's a possibility, right? Well, if I can't find them, so I've looked for Paul Jones, and I've searched Jones, and it's given me all the Jones. I can look at it, and I can see all the Pauls. If I can't find Paul, if I can't find the property address, can't understand why we can't do that, but every once in a while that'll be the case. Well, then I'm going to go under all the P's, and I'm going to extract all those addresses. So I can't really find Paul, but I've got to think that maybe one of the P's or one of the other Paul Joneses is the guy that I want. I'm not sure, so I'm going to extract all those addresses, and I'm going to send him a letter. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to grab all of the Paul Joneses or all the P Joneses, and I'm going to send that address a letter. And here's what the letter is going to state. Hi, my name's Michael. I help people in situations like yours all the time. I buy real estate in this area, and I'm currently looking to buy more investment properties. If you are interested in selling, and this is the property address that you sent the original piece of mail out, please give me a call. Be happy to speak with you anytime. I pay all cash and close quickly to help save thousands in taxes, mortgage payments, and commissions on the property. I also buy as is, so there's no need for you to do any repairs or fix up the property. Call me today, phone number. If I don't pick up, leave me a message about your property, and I'll call you back as soon as possible. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, your name and how to contact you. Now, you're sending this out to P. Joneses, Paul Joneses, and you don't have any idea if they want to sell. Well, you don't have any idea if they want to sell when you send them out the first piece of mail, so we're trying to locate this guy. All right? Here's another letter you can send out. Be right back. So it's addressed to the P. Jones, Paul Jones. All right? I would address it to P. Jones if there's a lot of P. Joneses and not a lot of Paul Jones. And it would just say, hey, my name's Michael Quarles. I'm interested in purchasing a property owned by Paul Jones. The property is located at, and then the address. And please give me a call at this phone number, that original dedicated phone number line. So we have 2 letters that are going out. One is just saying, hey, I want to buy a property that you may own. And then the other one is, hey, I want to buy this property that you may own over here. Understand? Great. So you're going to get phone calls. This is going to be cool. And you're going to want to have a script when you get these phone calls. And let's face it, I like my little simple 4 questions. You're going to answer the phone. Hello, this is Michael with I Buy Houses. How may I help? And they're going to say, hey, Michael, I got a letter in the mail from you. And I'm going to say, did you have a house you were hoping to sell? Yeah, they have to say yes to that. If they say no to that, there's no reason to continue on the conversation with them. Okay? The second question, is it currently listed with a real estate professional? It can't be. It has to be not listed. Third question is what would it appraise for in today's market? They'd have to have a number. And the fourth question is, what do they want from a walkaway perspective? And there's ways to ask these questions. So those are the 4 questions really fast. And it's really important to ask them a certain way, but you'll get the idea. Those are the questions. Now, these inbound calls are different from the outbound calls that we'll discuss in a minute. But it's just really, really important that you become very thorough and aware of what you're doing and treat every opportunity the same. So you want to have scripts, and you're going to want to have a system behind it. The other thing I want you to do is you can get an account at Accurate.com. And what Accurate does, it allows you to skip trace somebody. And really what I'm looking for is I want to know where this person that I can't find now has lived in the past. So all of the known former addresses or current address. So Accurate is going to get a little bit deeper than what General Public Record does. And they're going to give me some things like maybe some relatives in the area that they used to live with, some old addresses, and I'm going to send to everybody. Everybody that Accurate gives me, I'm going to send them those 2 letters. Heck, they might want to sell a house, and they might know where Paul is on this house that I'm asking them about. And so I'm looking really hard with direct mail going back out, but direct mail is not the only thing that I want to utilize. I'm going to go drive to the property. Absolutely going to go drive to the property. Let's face it. Now, I'm not going to go drive to the property of all the address or bad address pile, but I'm going to drive to the property on the deceased and the vacant properties because those aren't going to be big. The number of those aren't going to be huge. So I'm going to drive to the property and I'm going to do a 6-pack. That means I'm going to talk to the 5 neighbors, the 2 on each side of the property and the 3 across the street. And I want to just ask them, do they know the seller? Do they know the situation? They don't want abandoned property either. They don't want this eyesore in front of their house, next to their house. They want that to be fixed. And most of the time, they know the neighbor. I mean, one of your neighbors know you. I mean, you've said hello to them. You may not have their phone number, but you may. I have my neighbor's phone number. Go figure. And so, talk to the neighbors. If none of the neighbors know, that's fine too. You can still find the seller. It's okay. Don't quit. I want you to put a door hanger on all the neighbors' houses, those 6-packs, so those 5 houses, 1 on each side, and those 3 across the street. And I also want you to put a door hanger on the subject property. And I want you to take with you a letter, just like the one that you sent out, that you're looking for Paul Jones, and with your phone number, and if they could call you. And I want you to tape that, bear with me, we're either going to tape it to the front window. If there's a door with a window on it in it, perfect, tape it to that. Don't tape it to wood because I don't want you to peel paint off or anything like that. Tape it to the front window. If you can, like if it's a metal door or something, tape it to the door and the door jamb. So they actually have to remove that notice before they can enter the house. Much like a crime scene would be like taped up so you couldn't enter. And if you entered, you had to cut the tape to get in. So that's how they know that someone's entered the property. Kind of concept. So window, or try to tape it over that seam and just give them how to get a hold of you. Now, if you really want to buy the house, take a for sale sign and put it in the front yard with your phone number on it. If there's an owner that wants to be found, they'll call you off that for sale sign. Now, just be prepared for a really frustrated person calling you, but you have their phone number. However, if you talk to the neighbors across the street, tell each one of them you'll give them $500 if they see the owner. Get the information and give you a call. Have a bird dog. Have a bird dog right across the street. Pretty cool thing. Besides that, you're mailing that area. So the chances of one of those neighbors being a person on your equity list or your mailing list is pretty strong because we know 30% of the market right now has an equity position. So that's 1 in 3. There's 5 neighbors. So good chance of 2 of them being on your equity list. But at least one of them is going to be there. from an odds perspective. Now, so you've got Accurate. Accurate going to give you some phone numbers as well. You won't get any phone numbers from FastWeb, but you're going to get like current addresses, properties that they own, those kinds of things. And again, you're going to mail these letters to all the addresses that you come up with for Paul Jones or P. Jones. Someone's going to reach out to you. Someone's going to leave you a message. So what do you say to them when they call you? I'm talking about what do you say when you call them back, I should say. Or if you're cold calling out because Accurate's giving you some phone numbers to cold call to see if you can find the owner. So let's look at that. And you're probably going to have a VA or you're going to do it yourself. All right. So there's 4 types of calls you can get. You can get the wrong number call. And that is, hello, my name is Michael with I Buy Houses. And is so-and-so available? Is Paul available? Paul? They don't have a Paul here. He doesn't live there. I say, well, I'm actually trying to find the owner of the property at. Would you happen to know how I can reach them? Are you guys a relative? So it's a wrong phone number, but you're asking them a question. You're letting them know you're trying to reach Paul. Are they a relative? If they're a relative, if they know someone's trying to reach him, they'll start talking to you. Now let's assume it's the right number. It is Paul's house. And you say, this is Paul. Great. I'm calling and asking you if you have interest in selling the vacant property at the property address. We have an interest in buying the property. So those are the 2 types. You have wrong number, right number, but then you have 2 other types. You have right number, not selling. So you're not thinking of selling at this time. I see. If you don't mind, I'm going to follow up with you time to time to see if anything changes. Thank you. That's what happens if they're not selling. That's what you say. If they are selling, you are considering selling it or getting rid of it. Great. Today's call was just one to see if there was any interest in selling. If you don't mind, I'm going to forward this information to a representative who can follow up on you further. Is this number the best number to contact you, or do you have a cell phone number in case they can't reach you at home? Oh, it is the best number. Great. So those are the little scripts you use. It's pretty simple. You're just dialing for dollars now, or your VA's dialing for dollars. But it all starts with that mail that comes back, and what do you do with it? And again, I'm going to go through it really fast. You divide it into 3 piles. Deceased, vacant, and bad address pile. I wouldn't do anything with the bad address pile until I got the 2nd month mail back, because then maybe it is a bad address and I want to do something with it then. But the first 2 piles, go out and drive and look at the property. Talk to the neighbors. Pull it up on FastWeb. Find out who owns it and all the other properties they own and all their good addresses that are under public record for all the Paul Joneses, all the P. Joneses. Send everybody 2 letters. We went over those 2 letters. Search Accurate. All the places they lived, all the relatives that they have in the area. Send all those folks those 2 letters. Be prepared for the phone call coming in and have your voicemail set up and your dedicated Skype number going out so you can call them back. Have your VA cold call when they can find phone numbers on Accurate and just ask, or call them back when someone's replied to your letter on your voicemail. But be prepared to have some success. I hope this helps. This is a big topic that I covered in 30 minutes. We can do a whole boot camp for 3 days about how to do this, where I could show you Accurate and I could show you FastWeb and I can give you all the material and I can do all these things. But let's face it, it's not that big of a thing. All I want you to do is do it on purpose. So again, it starts with having a system to do it on purpose and then just do it. And again, at the end of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 months, if you haven't bought a house from this activity, discontinue it because it's not the highest and best use of the resource. Either your money for hiring a VA to do it for you or your money and time doing it yourself. So thanks so much. I hope this helped. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.